Okay, today we are going to authenticate our RESTful API. RESTful API is somewhat data serving mechanism from server to mobile app or single page application. Normally, last day we have learned how to authenticate our web-based interface. For that, we go to Laravel and start all services and go to terminal and type PHP artisan server. Our server PHP server will be running, and we are able to see this screen. HTTP localhost port number 8000 and login. And we have already created one user with the PKG map and test 1234. I'm going to enter it and we are logged in. This is for web-based interface. Now we want to authenticate and serve JSON-based data to our single-page application or mobile application. For that, we need to have an authentication mechanism. We are going to use Sanctum. To install Sanctum, we need to execute this statement, that is composer require Laravel Sanctum. Okay, composer require Laravel Sanctum. It will gonna a while. Let me stop the video session. Yeah, it is completed. Laravel Sanctum is installed, and then we need to publish its configuration files. Publish its configuration file using this command: php artisan vendor publish provider Laravel Sanctum service provider. Press enter key, and it will give you one migration files in database folder and one config file sanctum.php in config folder. Migration file is used by the Sanctum package to store the user data, user authentication based details. Okay, then again we need to migrate the this migration file, this migration file sorry, php artisan migrate. Press enter key, and your this newly created migration file will be imported to database. We can see that data here. Just to refresh the screen, and we can see personal access token, one new. This is our example app database. Example app database, there will be a new table, personal access token, or user based tokens are stored in this table. Yeah, and then you can see new files are here, like migration file. This is auto generated by Sanctum installation, and yeah, auth.php. In auth.php we need to write, one second. Yeah, I have already implemented the Sanctum in our project. Like these all files are only changed to work with my Laravel Sanctum. First, we need to create an authentication controller. Create an authentication controller and create it. Yeah, it is created. Just copy paste this content. Yeah, this is a controller I copied from the GitHub. That I let me go through this line by line or function by function. First, we need to have a registration function. First, we need to have a registration function, means we have a web-based registration and login already. And now I am going to create a Sanctum-based AP user registration and login. For that, for registration purpose, we use this function that first we need to validate this function will be this data will be passed to this function using SPA, I mean single page application or mobile application or even Postman. We need to validate incoming request using this statement: name required, email unique users. This means email data is required from user side, and it should be email and unique in users table. Unique in users table. Password also required minimum 6 characters. This is the validation rule. Okay, then if validation passes, then the next statement will be executed. User create a name, request name, in email, request of email, password, hashed password. You have to hash it, okay, before saving to database. Okay, then token will be generated in the registration process. User dot create token, API token, plain text token. This token is generated by Sanctum. Okay, because user model. Let me go to user model. We can see user model. Go to user model. You have to write this statement here. Then only the create token will be working. In user model, use Laravel Sanctum. It has API token, and use that trace inside your model has API tokens. Okay, then this user model will have a special function create token. Okay, this is because we have added this straight in user model. So thus we have a create token function in this user object, and it will create a new user token. Okay, that token will be stored inside access token with the user ID and token, etc. Okay. Okay, then we are passing that generated user details and token to the client. I mean to the single page application or mobile application or even Postman. I am passing those created data, token equal token and user equal to user object. Okay, we will check it later in a moment. Okay, then go to your bootstrap app.php. By default, Laravel 13 will have only web.php. Okay, we need to create an api.php, and we need to tell the Laravel that our API endpoint, go to this bootstrap api.php and copy this line here, or even as a last element, and then use a special middleware, that is Sanctum middleware. Copy this function also here. Okay, function, this is a function calling, function name is with middleware. Okay, then pass it to the Laravel. What we have changed is just added one routes.api.php and added a middleware calling here. Okay, then we need to create api.php. In api.php I have pre-written statements like auth controller. We have the already created auth controller, and then use packet route, and then endpoints, mention some endpoints like register for registration process, for login process. Registration process is auth controller class in register. That means this function, this is our auth controller and it is referring this function. Okay, then login endpoint refer auth controller classes login function. We have a login function also. Okay, what this means, user has to provide an email, and then it will check in the database if user model has an user with email given by request email. If user is provided, if user is not found, then message invalid credential. Okay, or if user is found, then it will create a token, RESTful API token for that user, and return the same as you see in registration process, return token and user. User has to use this token, received a token in all requests, and I will tell you in the next session. Okay, then logout function is there. Logout function will delete the current user token from the personal access token table and give him a message logged out. Okay, me means this is a function which will return current user details. Okay, current user details. Okay, go to next one. Uh, User compose. Then in config auth.php, we need to make a small change. Here we have a web-based interface authentication model, provider users. Session-based data as authentication will be used this web guard, but we have a new API guard. Just copy it and place it. API requests are guarded with the Sanctum and use users table. Okay. Then again in config Sanctum, we need to it is auto generated using during the Sanctum installation. We don't have to change anything in that file. And migration file we are already, yeah, this is the migration file. Personal access token, this is the table generated with this migration file. ID, tokenable, name, this all we don't want to count it anyway. Okay. Now in api.php you have already placed the what, where is API PHP. We have mentioned the two routes at the top and two routes protected routes. These two routes are protected routes, which will check for the Laravel token to access these two routes. That is, me and logout need RESTful API token. RESTful API token is created using register endpoint and login endpoint. Where is register endpoint and login endpoint? We have already shown you right like this. Register endpoint will execute this function and the login endpoint will execute this function. Both endpoints are using post method. Okay. There are two basic methods like get and post, and spoofed method like put, delete, patch, etc. So, so collectively there are five methods we can mention in route file. Okay, here it is using post register and post login and get to me and post logout. Let me go to a postman to check this. We can go to, yeah, this is a login endpoint because one second, you can see this API is the key here. So you have to mention this API in the URL and then use endpoint endpoint name here, login. Okay, go to body part and email equal to pkjmap at gmail, password equal to test1234. Just click on send. Oh, before that we need to start the server. PHP artisan server. Okay, just go to it and one second. First we need to register. Okay, first we need to register. No, we already registered it. Let me check this one. PKJ mapper, this is for web interface. The same user can use login through the postman also. Postman means post http localhost 8000 API login email just for not found. Okay, before using any changes if you have made in route config or views, you have to execute it is an optimize command. Then only it will be recognized by the Laravel, and then again PHP artisan server. Go to your postman and click on server. Okay, this is the result received from Laravel backend. Okay, Laravel backend. We can see token and user object. This is why, because we are logged in. This function will be executed and it will receive the request email and check it with the user model, and if there is a user existing, then that user data will be stored inside user object. Okay, we are passing two items, email and password. Okay, the same is handled here, email and checked with the email, and if user is there, it will execute this part and then it will return token and user object. You can see token and user object here. Okay, this token is very important. We need to copy it and used in other endpoint like me. Go to me, which is a get method, And in headers, authorization headers, you have to provide a bearer token and paste it in the this text box. Then click on send. Yeah, we will get currently authenticated user data here, because this function is executing, but that function is protected with the Laravel Sanctum. If token without a token we cannot access it. Okay, it will give an error. Okay, we need to provide a token and then click send. Then the Laravel backend will check which user has this special token, and it will enter to this line, and auto controllers me function will be executed. Me function is this one, and it will get a currently authenticated user and return as a JSON. Click it, and you will have currently authenticated user as a JSON. Okay, this is, you can see, uh, login function is only required at once. Okay, body, form data, email, pkjmap at gmail.com, and password test1234. Login route will be executed only once. Okay, and you will have a token. This token is required by every other or protected endpoints. Okay, whenever you call a protected endpoint, that is this, in this case this is me protected endpoint, you can see here whichever routes are protected by middleware auth sanctum. Auth sanctum protected middleware group require a special token to successfully give you a result using these endpoints. That is why we are passing this token as a bearer token. Okay, don't forget to take check bearer token here and give the newly generated token in login endpoints. Give it here and click next. Then it will give you that protected routes result. Okay, in my case it is just uh, current authenticated user. Okay, authenticated user data will be delivered to your client side. This is what's about Sanctum authentication.